Today we're making lasagna bolognese, not a traditional bolognese, and we're actually going to try a different method that I've never done before. So today I'm going to be learning along with you. Stay tuned. So we're making lasagna. Now, this is not a traditional lasagna bolognese by any stretch. What we're doing today is something that's a bit more family, kid-friendly, and it's also a little less labor intensive. To the point that we're actually going to try something totally different. Now, there's a lot of debate on what kind of noodles to use and whether or not you should parboil them or not parboil them, or if you should use the oven-ready ones. And I use those all the time, to be honest with you, but they actually don't hold up in the fridge very long. Like 2-3 days down the road, they get a little mushy and you kind of lose some of that flavor and texture. So what I'm gonna do today, after we make our bechamel sauce, which is one traditional element of this lasagna, this is a dry lasagna noodle with the ridges, which apparently are to catch the sauce as it bakes.
I've always wondered.
You've always wondered. Well, you know what? I think of lasagna bolognese, I think of fresh pasta, straight edge, beautiful, thin, golden yellow, etc. And we will make that one day with a really rich meat sauce. However, this one is what you would get in most grocery stores, and it's not the oven-ready variety. And this is where our experiment kicks in. We're going to try to use these without the process of parboiling them and shocking them in ice water and laying them out on a towel and then assembling lasagna, because let's face it, that's a time-consuming process, and a lot of people don't have time for that, and I don't have time for that. So there's got to be an easier way. We're trying to get these simply made into a lasagna, but have the lasagna noodles have a beautiful al dente texture 2-3 days from now. That's what we're going to do. How are we going to do it? We're going to use them, but we're going to dip them in water just to slightly hydrate the outside. And then as we assemble the lasagna, we'll get to the details later, we're going to really think about the quantity of sauce, bechamel, and meat sauce that we're going to be using to surround that noodle and help protect it as it bakes. So that's a little bit down the road. For now, it's bechamel. So have a look right down here. So in the pan I have a 1/4 cup of butter. You could use salted or unsalted, and it's melting and just coming to the foaming point now. And we're going to go in with 1/3 of a cup of flour. There, and whisk. Now what we're doing here is we're making a classical roux. This is not a sauce that can be normally or easily made without having gluten. So it just holds up very, very well. We're going to season it actually at the end. But the important part here is once this roux forms, we are going to cook it for about at least a minute. It's already been cooking for about 30 seconds. So as you can see, it's foaming and we're cooking out some of that flour. So now we have a total of 1 liter of whole milk. Now I sometimes use milk that, you can use whatever you have. 2% is fine. Whole milk is better. And I sometimes even finish it with cream. I don't have any cream today. But what's important is just to add a cup at a time and then get that into the roux and stirring very, very vigorously. And that will start to thicken and get rid of any lumps. Now what you want to do is make sure that this is lump-free. And the best way to do that is the gradual addition of the milk to the roux. And you can see already that because of the viscosity, my whisk has something to sort of hold up against, and it gives it a chance to break down those lumps, and now it's a nice smooth roux. So again, another cup of milk goes in, and I'm going to do that until I have a finished sauce, and we're going to come back and we will season it. All right, so we have beautiful smooth bechamel, and now what we're going to do is season. So I'm going to go in with 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and there I'm going to do 1/2 teaspoon of white pepper. Just sort of old habits die hard with me in terms of bechamel. I like white pepper and bechamel. And then nutmeg is very, very key. So freshly grated nutmeg. And I'm going to do this until I've got about 1/8 teaspoon in. And it's almost there now. So you can see I did about 1/4 of a nut right there. All right, so seasoned. This is the little spoon test that we do. See that nice consistency, holds the line. That's a great way to test the consistency of a sauce. So there you have it. So we are gonna set that aside and wait for assembly. And now let's play with our noodles. This is where the big stressor comes in. Okay, so we're gonna assemble now. We're gonna talk about all the ingredients that are going in, and we're also gonna talk about the pasta experiment. So this is, again, the dry, not oven-ready pasta. We're gonna dip it in hot water, which I have here, and then we're gonna season it with salt and pepper on each layer. And the reason for that is if you would blanch this in salt water, you would have the right seasoning, but now we're loading this pasta dish with unseasoned pasta, which will make it taste a little flat if we don't make it up somewhere along the way. So that's what we're gonna do. Then we're gonna use our super sauce recipe. You can click the link below to see that recipe, which we made a couple weeks ago. And then we got different cheeses. Again, open for debate. This is what we like in our house. I've got some freshly grated Parmesan, some mozzarella, and then right in the middle of this, I like a layer of either ricotta or fine curd cottage cheese. That's just a personal preference for our family. Don't need to do it. And certainly a traditional lasagna bolognese recipe would not have that cheese layer. And again, we'll make that someday. So first layer is basically gonna be this. We're gonna dip into the hot water. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna leave those there for just a second while I give a nice little coating of extra virgin olive oil on the bottom, and then a really healthy distribution of our sauce right on there. And again, we have to be constantly reminding ourselves, all right, where are we gonna make up the moisture when this lasagna bakes and these noodles are properly cooked? So I think you can't be scant with this. You gotta be a little bit more plentiful than you normally would be. And now we're gonna go in with the first layer of noodles, giving about half a centimeter space in between each one. And the reason for that is that they're going to expand as they hydrate. So we haven't done that, so we have to allow for that at this point. A little bit of pepper on each layer, little sprinkling of salt on the pasta, and then covering it again with a little bit more of our meat and vegetable sauce. And I'm going to completely show you how I do the first layer, and then we will repeat. I will no doubt make a lot of mess on the counter as I do this, but that's okay. You're willing to clean that up, right, Jay?
I am willing to clean that
Thanks,
up.
man. Okay, so now bechamel. Right on top is our finished bechamel. It's still hot, you can see it. And that's kind of normal for even if it sits for 30 seconds, you'll get a slight little crust on the top, but then it's suddenly fine, and you just do a nice drizzle of that bechamel right over top of that sauce.
Looks so good.
It really works together for a really rich and creamy flavor. All right, and now we're gonna do a little bit of Parmesan cheese and a little bit of mozzarella. Not too much. Again, you don't have to put this in, but our family likes, especially the kids, like that ooey gooey cheesiness in between each layer. So now what we're gonna do is repeat this. I have enough of this pasta to do 3 pieces of pasta per layer, 6 layers in total. Halfway through this, I'm gonna add the ricotta, but every other layer is gonna be basically sauce, bechamel, Parmesan, and mozzarella until we fill it up. So I'm gonna do that. You're gonna do that fancy thing where you speed everything up, right?
Yep.
Okay, good. So I'm gonna do that right to the top. You'll see the ricotta going in halfway. And then when we're ready to go into the oven, we'll talk about how long it should bake and how to cover it up, okay?
Okay.
Okay, take a look at this. That looks good enough to eat right now, and it is not even baked yet. So again, what we're gonna do now is we're gonna tent that loosely with foil to try to trap some of that moisture in so we don't lose too much to the oven, because the noodles are gonna need to soak that up to get tender. So 350 degrees, covered, and then we're gonna check it and finish it uncovered until it's nice and brown on the top. Well, there you have it. So I am very excited about this, Jay. I know that at first glance it might look a little dark on the edges. I kind of did that on purpose. I like that. It's just, to me, it's a sort of a crispy edge of the lasagna. It's quite nice. But I also had to leave it in another 10, 15 minutes longer than I would, and that was for those noodles to cook through. But I think we got it. I think they are beautiful, fully cooked. You see how easily it's cutting. Our experiment may have worked here, my friend. Now you can garnish this any way you like. Certainly fresh Parmesan is a nice thing to do. A little bit of warmed up tomato sauce, some parsley. I'm gonna try to get a little piece in the middle there so we can
go for the middle piece.
Yeah, so I don't want to destroy it trying to get into the corner. The first piece is always the most difficult. Let's see what we have here. Oh, I know it rested for a while. I think that looks pretty darn good. I lost a little bit of the, because it was the first piece.
Don't worry, I'll get it.
I think that looks pretty tasty.
Yeah,
All right.
that's great.
Yeah, I'm very happy with that. And
See the edges on the side?
yeah, and you can see the layers all the way through. But the pasta is not overdone.
Yeah.
So here you have a baked pasta. This is still gonna, and it's not dry. It's moist, but it's holding its shape. I'm very happy with that. Now, if you let that cool overnight and cut it, you would have beautiful straight edges when you reheat it. This is very hot out of the oven, obviously, so it's not perfectly, but even due to that, without a really long resting time, it's still holding its shape really well. So, the proof is in the tasting. It's too big a piece here. Won't be able to talk. All right. A little hot.
We're keeping this.
Oh, it's good though. It's really good. And you know, I'm kind of so used to having mushy lasagna noodles. Or I won't say mushy, but it's really challenging to use a convenience or a bake oven ready lasagna noodle and not have it overcook. It's pretty challenging to do that. This is really nice, and still I would even use the term el dente. It's lovely. And it's going to be lovely 3 days from now. And you can even put it in the freezer, and I think it would hold up better. I think our experiment has worked.
We did it.
We did it. All right. Let's do another experiment sometime soon. I don't know what that's going to be yet, but it'll come to me.
Well, we'll figure something out. Hopefully it turns out this well.